Welcome back to another episode of ROC Boys Football, continuing to work through some of our favorite transfer portal classes and a program that's just not getting talked enough about nationally. The Louisville Cardinals bringing in Jeff Brohm. They also did a phenomenal job developing a transfer portal class, and this is something that you've seen a lot of first-year head coaches do. I think Hugh Freeze is doing that at Auburn. Coach Prime certainly doing that at Colorado. The transfer portal nowadays represents opportunity for first-year, second-year head coaches to quickly turn around a roster and be competitive during their first year. That is exactly what Jeff Brohm has done. Mixed in a couple of young cats who will be kind of part of that not rebuild, but development aspect, and then some veterans too. And you take a look at what Jeff Brohm did in general on the aggregate in this transfer portal class, did a phenomenal job. Now, before we get into it again, just want to say thank you to you guys, whether we're talking recruiting, whether we're talking the transfer portal, the support you guys have shown truly does mean a lot. So if you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. 2024 recruiting just heating up this summer, so lock in if you guys do enjoy that. Dill, I'm going to kick it off to you. Let's start with just Jeff Brohm taking over Louisville and bringing in his guys in this transfer portal class.
And you're starting to see this is becoming the modus operandi of first-year head coaches, if you will. It's a lot of guys going to leave, a lot of guys coming in. You kind of, the team doesn't look anything like it was the year before. And Jeff Brohm did that as much as anyone else. I mean, 22 transfers is a lot. They obviously had a lot of guys head out. But at the end of the day, this is probably just going to be the new way of doing it. I don't see why you wouldn't if you're Jeff Brohm. Like, why not just –
And you know Jeff Brohm has a specific way, especially how he wants to run the offense. We checked out this spring game. I think there's a lot to like in what Jeff Brohm brings. You look at what he did at Purdue. Took Aiden O'Connell, a walk-on, a former seventh-string quarterback, and made him into an NFL draft pick. He is phenomenal at designing offenses and supporting quarterbacks, and he's got both his quarterbacks that he spent time with at Purdue back, and that's kind of where I want to start. I think it's perfectly executed by Jeff Brohm. Brady Allen is the young arm, the 2022 kid who was very sought after, commits to Jeff Brohm at Purdue. Once Jeff Brohm leaves, Brady Allen hops in the portal and follows Jeff Brohm over to Louisville. I think he's the future. You take a look at bringing in Plummer from Cal via Purdue. So again, they kind of work together at Purdue at a certain time. That's kind of your starter year one. You're going to win a lot of games with Jack Plummer, who's played a lot of college football. And then you look down the road, you have Pierce Clarkson coming in the 2023 class. Allen obviously coming in through the transfer portal. That quarterback room is looking bright for 2023 and in the future here.
And you see that's kind of what he did at every position, bringing in a mix of young and old. And,
yes,
obviously you bring those older veterans in like an Eric Miller on the offensive line to win now. And you want Jeff Brohm's probably going to want to go 8-4 or something like that in his first year at Louisville to get the ball rolling better than, I mean, just back in the day, you come take over obviously Louisville's not in a spot like certain programs are when coaches leave and whatnot.
Yeah.
But it's still, you want to kind of crank it back up. It's not like Satterfield was killing it by any means at Louisville. So
Louisville fans didn't like him.
No, and he didn't feel like he wanted to be there. So it is what it is. But I mean, Jeff Brohm, he's going to want to kick it up. Like the first year, it does kind of now matter because you can see you can win early, and it just helps get the ball rolling in the right direction.
Yeah, and you should take a look at what they're doing in 2024. You want your 2024 class to be strong, start winning some games in 2023. And I think Jeff Brohm has put himself in a spot where they, especially in a last couple of years where the ACC kind of not what it's normally is. Now you have Florida State, you have Clemson, but outside of that, like there's not many teams in the ACC that I'm saying Louisville doesn't have a shot to beat. Now, the second aspect of this transfer portal that I think truly Jeff Brohm nailed is acquiring the wide receivers. Like, you know they're going to sling it all around the yard, and they brought in a bunch of very talented wide receivers. And kind of what you mentioned, some young guys, some old guys. Jamari Thrash from Georgia State going into his 5th year of college football, caught for over 1,000 yards last year at Georgia State, very good vertically down the field. Then you bring in some young cats, Kevin Coleman, a guy from Jackson State, a former top 50 national recruit. He's coming in. Jimmy Callaway, who if you watch the spring game, I know he had some weird plays, but that dude is electric with the football in his hands. Like the quarterback situation looks good, and the pass catcher situation, especially with Huggins Bruce coming back, certainly looking good.
Yeah, and then you complement that with an offensive line that's going to get a little bit of a makeover too, and they're bringing in, again, guy we mentioned, Eric Miller. They're bringing in Lance Robinson from Houston. It's, again, getting guys in who older veteran guys who are going to come in, play now. Willie Tyler, very similar situation. They're just going to have a crop of guys. Again, you got guys who they're going to give you something. And again, this isn't like the team that's going to go win them an ACC title necessarily. It's not Jeff Brohm's guys per se, and it's maybe not the recruiting level that I think Jeff Brohm can take this school to. But again, across the board,
you bring up a massive point. I think this Louisville program, in terms of a recruiting sleeping giant, I think it's there. And you saw Satterfield before the end of his tenure at Louisville start to build a class. Jeff Brohm is going to attract offensive talent, and it's a much more attractive place to come play football for than Purdue was. And so I'm really excited about what Jeff Brohm can do in terms of getting offensive playmakers to come play for Louisville, because you want to go play for a coach like Jeff Brohm.
But even just on the administrative side, I think he's going to galvanize the support of the program a little more than – I mean, Satterfield, again, we talked about it. It just didn't seem like a fit. It didn't seem like anyone wanted him there. He didn't want to be there. You got a guy in Jeff Brohm who is a Louisville guy. He played college ball there, and he's was
the chosen child.
Purdue could get the guys there. He was getting guys to Purdue, which is an impossible place to recruit. I think Louisville, if he can crank up the support from the program and get it back rolling again, you're kind of right. It may be a bit of a sleeping giant because the ACC, a little bit of a power vacuum, it seems like right now. And it's hard to say. If he can get the alumni behind him, it could be a problem.
I 100% agree. And I think a lot of people across the country look at Louisville as kind of a program that can really get NIL going and start bringing some top talent to Louisville. Now let's go to the defense side of the ball. They brought in the offensive line. They got the pass catchers. They got their quarterbacks, not quarterback of the present and the future. The defense, I thought they did a phenomenal job. You start in the secondary, some bona fide starters. Storm Duck from UNC was a guy as a Michigan fan. I wanted Storm Duck coming to play for Michigan. Louisville flips him. He goes to Penn State, spends a spring there, heads to Louisville. But you take a look down the list, Marquise Groves, Marcus Washington. These guys were young cats in the 2022 class that were sought after by every Power 5 team in the country. And Jeff Brohm goes out and lands those guys as not only guys who can play and start for Louisville right now in 2023, but also going to be pieces that you can build around for 2024 and potentially 2025 as well.
Yeah, and again, they did a good job on the offensive side for sure, but they brought in some monster talents, especially on younger guys. I mean, you look; these are the kind of big time guys from classes like Georgia and Texas A&M, and you see who's winning right now. It's those guys are recruited to those schools. And again, Louisville wasn't getting those guys in the program much under Satterfield. And you could see now the portal, again, it gives a school like Louisville an opportunity, especially when Jeff Brohm's coming in. And he really took advantage. He loaded up on some guys who maybe weren't satisfied with what they were playing as true freshmen and now are kind of ready to move on. But obviously super talents, that's for sure.
Yeah, Keith Brown's another guy you got to mention, a former top 100 recruit from Oregon coming across the country. This is a team that I just don't think I think it's going to take the country by storm a little bit. At least maybe not in 2023, but in 2024, 2025, it seems like it's a perfect fit. This program, I really do think, has a ton of potential in terms of the talent that they can acquire from the high school ranks. But even in 2023, this team is going to look a lot different than it looked like from 2022. And that team was pretty good in 2022. Just didn't really stay healthy, didn't have that consistency you wanted, especially with a lot of the turmoil and kind of the fans just not really messing with Scott Satterfield at the end of his tenure. Louisville, this is a team that we're going to be talking about in the summer. I think they're going to get some traction on the recruiting trail too. So again, appreciate you guys checking us out. If you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. We can't thank you guys enough for all the support you guys have shown. We'll talk to y'all later.